good morning, good morning, and welcome to another episode of From the Ground Up. Real time issues with real time solutions for MWBEs and small businesses, brought to you by Queen Strategy Partners, Nicole Valentine Esquire, Danielle Douglas, and myself, Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant. We're so excited to have you join us. And remember, our programming for our third season is the first and the third Tuesday of every month, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So go ahead and share it with your friends, your colleagues, your partners. We've been here with you riding through this global pandemic, and we're still standing and bringing you such quality guests and information that have been the game changer and difference for so many who have been so kind to let us know about the value that you've received joining our show. But my best part of my first and third Tuesday mornings is introducing my phenomenal, amazing, incredible, dynamic co host, the one and only Danielle Douglas. Over to you, Danielle.
And I always say, I love you immensely, Miss Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant. I mean, when you got love like that, come on, Valentine's Day is every day,
It's
right?
every day.
So, with that said, I'm so excited about today. I know I say that all the time, right? I'm so excited about our show because we just continue to bring phenomenal guests on this show. And if you're not here, you're missing out on a Tuesday morning. So you need to be here every other Tuesday with Miss Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant and myself. But with that said, today we are celebrating Black History Month, right? We got to do something for Black History Month. And we thought it would be a great idea to is celebrating Black History Month, to celebrate Black businesses and to provide resources, to share with you resources to help you thrive and grow. And so, with that said, we have again two phenomenal guests. We have Miss Tanya Pope with us today. We're going to give our guests an opportunity to introduce themselves, and we have Miss Stephanie Aline. And they're going to be sharing with you again some great information that will help you grow and thrive. And so, before we have our guests introduce themselves, I'm going to turn it back over to my lovely, darling co-host, Miss Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant.
Thank you, Danielle. And I'm excited about the fact that we're highlighting what we talk about all the time when it comes to collaboration and support, particularly Black business. Now, we're all four of us clearly Black women. So every day is Black history for us, but it's important that you take notes and share out the information because our two guests have incredible resources that can really help you thrive in this season. So we're going to start with having Miss Tanya Pope introduce herself. She's a legend in the industry. So we're just excited to have her here. But we're going to have her share a few words about herself. And then we're going to go over to the beautiful Stephanie Aline. Over to you, Tanya, and
Well,
welcome again to the show.
I'm sorry, Stacey. Before I have Tanya introduce herself, I have to say this because in celebration of Black History Month, and we are all Black females, like you said, Stacey, I just want to say that, and I love you too, Stephanie. I'm gonna love you more as we get to know each other. But I have two phenomenal women that I just want to tell you all. Today is Valentine's Day for me because I absolutely love Miss Dr. Stacey C. Grant, and I absolutely love Miss Tanya Pope. And I have to say that because we have to celebrate each other. We have to tell people how much we love them, how much we appreciate them. I mean, Miss Tanya Pope, she's a everything to me. She's a colleague, she's a mentor, she is a supporter, she is a collaborator. I could go on and on about Miss Tanya Pope and how she is like one of my biggest cheerleaders. So I want to say I love you, Miss Tanya Pope. I want to share that and acknowledge you and say thank you, thank you, thank you for all the love you give to me. So thank you.
You are so welcome, Danielle, and I love you right back. And our collaboration has been going on for almost a decade, and it's still going strong. And we continue to work together to try to do things to uplift our Black businesses and community. And that's where it comes from the heart. And Dr. Grant, I don't know about a legend. If you get old enough, you end up knowing everybody. So that's what happened in my case. But I'm Tanya Pope. I'm the Assistant Vice President of University Supplier Diversity at Columbia University. I'm actually the first person to hold that position. It was created when I decided to come back to the university. And I had a number of requirements and wanted to make sure that they understood just how serious I was about investing in our Black community. And I'm so proud that Columbia took me up on that and made those investments because it allows me to do the work that I do. So I'm very pleased to be here this morning.
And the other thing I want to say, and Stephanie, we are not forgetting you, but the other thing I want to say in regards to the work that Tanya is doing is that, they have the community benefits agreement that they did with the Harlem community as a result of the Manhattanville Project, correct?
That's
Tanya?
correct. That's
and
correct.
So for us folks in Southeast Queens, that we are looking to see how we can collaborate with anchor institutions that are also having, doing major infrastructure projects. It's just a lesson in how we can uplift one another and how we can uplift our community as well. So even in that regard, I just want to say that the work that Tanya is doing as an individual, but what Columbia has done in regards to their support of the community is, is unmatched at this point.
Thank you, Danielle.
Yes, absolutely. And that's a great model. Well, it's important, Tanya, that she highlights that because it's a prototype and it is an example for so many. And she and I both know about infrastructure projects close to home. So, to be able to point to that work and something that you said that I don't want to get lost. You were asked to come back and they met your demands, right? So I don't want that to get lost on anybody, that Black women run the show, right? And when you ask for what you want and you're confident about why, it opens up doors. And I think that's an incredible lesson for younger movers and shakers as they climb the ladder to where all of us are continuing to grow, is to be confident a lot earlier. Don't wait until a certain stage in time. If it's a righteous cause, it will always speed on. So I got excited about that just hearing it. I had to just put that in there. But Stephanie, honey, I'm excited about having you here too. I know you've worked with two dear friends of mine, Sheena Wright and Leslie Underwood. So, it's just great to see you and have you here to talk about some great work that you're doing. But let us know about your journey to where you are and what you do on a daily basis.
Sure. So my name is Stephanie, and I'm a senior manager of small business and workforce development for Together We Thrive, which is an initiative of the United Way. And I think a lot of times when people think about United Way, they think about a funder, but it's a backbone organization, which means that not only are we supplying resources to nonprofits and community-based organizations to support New Yorkers to develop their self-sufficiency, but we're also setting the infrastructure and the framework as well. And I think one of the things people need to know about Together We Thrive is it's really representative of sort of an equity mindset, making sure that we're aware of what's going on within the Black community in New York City, not just in terms of health, not just in terms of, socioeconomic day-to-day comings and goings, but also just in terms of the business sector, in terms of economically. Just what are the supports that are needed there? And why is that support so important? How is it that the GDP of the Black community gets overlooked? And how do we kind of counteract that? So that's really the work of Together We Thrive, is really just to provide networking, to provide coaching and mentorship, to provide access to capital to small and medium-sized Black-owned businesses as part of COVID recovery effort. So It's a little bit about us, and just my day-to-day really involves, what are the partnerships that we need to consider in order to strengthen that work? What are the relationships we need to build and develop? And then who are the businesses? I am a social worker by education, and so a lot of that comes into my day-to-day because I have to do calls and perform intake with businesses to find out really what are their needs, triage their primary needs, tease out their secondary needs, and help them create the connections and access to the resources they need for their short-term goals and their long-term goals. And something else just really quickly I want to uplift is I really love being part of this conversation, being a part of all the love. I may not be getting quite directly, but that'll come in time. I'm like Jennifer Holliday. You can work me.
Okay, so Stephanie, we heard you loud and clear. I want everybody to know I love Stephanie too.
Me too.
So
I love
Stephanie. Stephanie.
And we're going to give Stephanie some round of applause as well.
But I really do say it to say that that's actually, I think, the strength that we all kind of rest on, that we've used to kind of elevate ourselves. And just watching all of you, Queen Strategies, 3 very powerful, very influential women coming together, not like creating competition amongst each other, but really coming together to create something that's powerful for community. That's really emblematic of the work that Together We Thrive wants to do. That networking, that is the difference between a business owner saying, I can't do this anymore, and a business owner saying, you know what, I can do this and my community is relying on me. Because that is why Black businesses are such a staple, because they provide the social, the cultural, and the economic resources for our neighborhood. So yeah. That's a little bit about me.
Stephanie, I'm so glad that you mentioned workforce, because it's important that we support Black businesses, give them opportunities, make sure they win contract awards, because it helps our community. But the workforce piece is just as important, because when we uphold individual workers, their families do better. They have more resources to build, that family. Their children get to go to college, and we can't lose sight of how important it is not to just do one, but to do both.
Absolutely.
It goes hand in hand, for sure.
Exactly.
And and the thing about that is that's why, like, the work that we're all doing is very important, because it's not just about, like you said, the short term of growing minority and woman business enterprises, and particularly Black-owned businesses, but it's the economic development about building communities, right? Impacting communities and impacting, our families as well, because we're looking to build wealth, because that is impact as well. So it's a very personal impact, but also a collective community impact as well. And with that said, I don't know if this is the right time to bring it up, but there's a couple of things that I just want to bring and take a moment before we actually delve into the questions, is that when we talk about community, I just want to take a moment to highlight Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant, and that she's having a night of healing this evening on mental health, because, again, is not, when we talk about community and working together collectively, all of that is important. And you know what? We as a community have had a lot of pressure on ourselves individually and collectively. And especially when we look at Black-owned businesses, where, the saying I said before we went live is that you could be standing knee deep in a river of water and dying of thirst. And my other saying I always say is, we eat what we kill. And that takes a lot of stress and work and ingenuity when, in the midst of COVID, you're trying to pivot, figure things out, navigate life and stuff. So I just want to acknowledge that as well, because we need to take a holistic approach and give Miss, I'm the only one who put Miss in front of Doctor, but Miss Dr. Stacey Grant, I want to give her a shout out and say a thank you for the work that you're doing in the community. And this, as you said, is a love letter to NYC, but it's a love letter to our community as well. And we just happen to live in the same community. So I want to, raise that. But
and one of the many reasons why I love her so much, because we were going to mention this, in the show, just because it's happening literally tonight.
Mhm.
And this was an answer, to Danielle's point. Crisis doesn't make an appointment. It just shows up. And the first night of healing that we did was an answer to Ida and how Ida ravaged our particular area in Queens. And FEMA and all the government agencies, while they were assessing, they were moving fast enough to get real-time support in the hands of people who needed it. So I'm blessed that our Queensborough president, Donovan Richards, was willing to partner with us and be able to present the first one. And then we had people come on board to help. But this one tonight is happening at St. John's, and it's an opportunity for us to raise awareness about mental health resources and suicide prevention. We see everything that is happening around us, the high profile cases of loss. And this is just our way to say, let's just give a love letter to the city. Let's have some small entertainment segments, interviews with the Commissioner of Social Services, the Chancellor of New York City, the Queens District Attorney, council women and men from the district, state senators, a lot of the people that we get to work with. They're coming out to say, we're in this together and we're stronger together. And how can we get the resources out there? We have mental health professionals that are participating, those who have 24/7 crisis intervention. Let's not assume that everyone's okay. And even when you're okay, you might not be okay. And it's okay to talk about therapy and resources, not to be by yourself. So thank you, Danielle, for speaking of that. You can log on. It's a hybrid. We have a small studio audience that'll be at St. John's University. That's my alma mater. And we're doing it in the little theater there. And we'll also be broadcasting. But just go to nightofhealing.com. And there's a small fee because that helps us give money to these organizations. But if you don't have it, you can still attend. I'll give you a code, SJU. Go ahead and register for free so that you can be there. You can share it out because it's more about how many lives we can reach. If we save one life tonight, then it's not in vain. So in honor of Black History Month, that's who we are as a people. We take care of ourselves. No one's coming to save us. We're going to save ourselves by the things that we do. So thank you, Dave. You see why I love her? That who can't?
You're quite welcome. And and this kind of leads to our question of, our first question to our guests, and that is that we all are inspired to do the work. And, that could be in the context of what we do each and every day within our workspace, our businesses. We're all inspired. So in the spirit of Black Lives Matter, Tanya, can you share with us what inspires you?
Well, I tell you, what inspires me has a lot to do with my childhood and my history. I grew up in Washington, D.C., in a time when the city was over 80% Black. The mayor was Black. The Pepco executive was Black. I just evolved in my Blackness, and everything around me reinforced that. And at the tender age, I'll say, of 21, I moved to Fairfield County, Connecticut, and took a sales job. And let me tell you, I saw my Blackness in a different way because I have never seen racism so upfront and prevalent. And I was like, oh, the rest of the world doesn't work like where I'm from. And that kind of started something in me. And then throughout my career, there have been those individuals that have given me a chance, that have mentored me, that have offered the next opportunity. And so I want to be that person for others. I want to be that person who says, you can do it. Here's how. Here's the opportunity. Let me take your hand. And so that's really what inspires me.
Thank you, Tanya. And Tanya walks the talk. And I just want to say that Tanya is one of my board of directors on the Council for Black Business Enterprises. When I was thinking of it, I called Tanya and she was so excited about the idea. I ran it by her and a couple of other folks and they were like, yes. And I was like, okay. And she's been right there in the trenches with me with the Council for Black Business Enterprises. So, she goes above and beyond the Columbia work.
I have to tell you, I've had to get intentional about it. And you've helped me do that with the Council of Black business enterprises because we have this big bucket of minority. But when you see who's getting what, our Black businesses are always getting the lesser share. So we can't just say we're lifting up minorities. We have to be intentional in saying we're going to help Black businesses get their fair share. And it is so important to me. And it's part of everything that I work on. I've got that in the back of my mind. Not only how is it going to help diverse businesses in general, but specifically, how will it impact Black businesses?
Absolutely. And I am so excited about what the Black Council for Business Enterprise is able to do, because it allows for the conversation to grow in a different direction. So I'm just shouting out the council. You can go council for the number 4 BBE.org, and you subscribe to the newsletter. You'll be able to see about who is involved in the initiatives and the programs, because this is what it's about. You know, you have an idea as Black businesses, you need to reach out to others with like minds. So shout out to all of our mutual friends who are a part of the board of directors. This is how we are able to really give credit to our ancestors. We stand on the shoulder of so many who came before us, and we don't have to try to do it alone. We can do it together, and they're short-term and long-term initiatives. And that's what we're celebrating today. Who are you collaborating with? Who are you working with? Clearly, this show is a collaboration. Everybody here is sharing about the variety of things that they're doing. So you can go and find out and get some information about the different programs and events. And this was another phenomenal one that happened last year. So I'm excited about today's show because not only can we share information, we're able in real time to show you the power of collaboration and Black brilliance. We're unapologetic about it. The world is clearly seeing and understanding what happens when we pull together, work together. There's no such thing as competition. It's about collaboration. And when you can have iron sharpen iron, then the people who need us most really get served, because that's what our businesses are doing, solving problems. That's what our organizations are doing, creating solutions. So the more we can work together, the better. So shout out to Sonia Johnson. Hi, Soror. How are you? Diana Rose, always here, a past guest on the show. Myron, thank you for tuning in. And we appreciate you being here today. Share the love, spread it out. Let folks know From the Ground Up is live. But Danielle, you want to just jump in to the next question, since I got a little excited. I had to share about the Black
Well, actually, we didn't finish the first question. So we have to give Stephanie an opportunity to share what inspires her. And she was giving us such a heartfelt, we were having such a heartfelt discussion before we actually went live. But, you know, Stephanie, by all means, we definitely want to hear what inspires you to do the work.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different things. But one thing I want to lead with is something a little bit lighthearted, which is there's a phrase that I use every now and again called double dutching. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but like growing up as a kid, you know, there were always girls on the playground and they had like these thick wires and they were going at it. They were turning it. And everybody, it seemed like, knew how to jump double dutch except for me. So I would do this kind of performative measure where I would like go back and forth in the rope and I'm like trying not to get hit. And naturally I'd get hit. But eventually everybody caught on that I couldn't jump. I still can't jump. There, I'm putting it out there. All right. But the idea is that I think so often people, you know, as you grow up, you kind of double dutch. You go back and forth on something because of fear. And you're not ever really able to jump into the rope because you feel like you don't know how. And I think just as Tanya said, sometimes you need someone to give you that instruction so you know how to do a measure, or how to do something, or how to achieve something, or how to elevate something. And so for me, what brings me energy to get up and do my work every single day are the businesses that I talk to. The fact that they chose not to double dutch. They chose to jump into the ropes. They chose to get knocked to you know, overcome their fear and to get in and to create something. And that level of fortitude to really get something done, makes me say, you know what, I gotta do harder. I gotta meet them where they're at. What are their needs? All right, well, let me think about who's doing this. Okay, well, is there a way that I can connect this to this and this? Okay, I don't see that. All right, let me talk to somebody else because they're doing it and I have to match them. In addition, the business owners that we serve aren't just serving themselves. They are their ancestors' wildest dreams. Sometimes they're their family's wildest dreams. Sometimes they're able to do things that even their family members thought that they couldn't do or they shouldn't do because of our historic relationship with money, with cultural ties, sometimes with even religious ties. But they went out and they broke apart and they did something different. And I think it is for me to show up to work every day trying to support and buttress them through their journey as best I can. So that's kind of what I wake up to do. I think the other part is my former boss, his name was Dr. Luke Sevier. He passed away about 3 months ago, and he was an incredible human being. He was a man of faith. He was a visionary. He worked very hard. He was an educator. He was super non-judgmental. This is always my favorite thing to say about him. He was funny. He was super funny. And he's non-judgmental. But more than anything, he loved himself and he loved his people. He loved Black people. He did. Very proud Haitian man, Morehouse man, just the best of a lot of things. And so when I show up to work, I really do. I do ask, what would Jesus do? But then I also think about, like, what would Luke do? Like, what would Luke say? How would he approach this? How would he talk to this person? Where would his focus be within this particular partnership or connection or communication? Why would he make this? And so those are the things that I carry with me about him in trying to do this job the best that I can. It's a lot of what inspires me.
Wow. And look, before we move on, Sonia wanted you to know that you weren't alone. She can't double dutch either. If I'm truthful, I couldn't make it past the first 5 jumps and then it was a wrap. So, let me just tell the truth in these streets. But thank you for sharing that. And as you honor the legacy of just an incredible human being, right? That is, to me, the way that with all the grief and trauma that we've been experiencing, especially in these last 2 going on 3 years, we celebrate those lives by how we live. So he is celebrated through you, Stephanie, right? Because you're able to remember his actions, his words, his deeds. And that's how we honor. Nobody wants to go through it, losing someone that you respect, that you admire, that you love. But that's been my therapy, is celebrating their life through my actions and through my deeds. So I thank you for sharing that very heartfelt story, because it just triggers for me a lot of the people that I'm holding up with how I live, move, and breathe. So I just had to insert that there.
And I think it's our counterparts, like what you just shared, Stephanie, but it's also, when we speak in the spirit of Black History Month, it's all of those that came before us. It's our ancestors. We kind of forget what they had to endure just to get on the other side of the Atlantic, and so we come from like a strong people. We are so strong, to take it back full circle to a night of healing, that oftentimes we don't know how to ask for help when we need it, because we are so resilient and strong, and then we internalize that, which is hard for us to process. So I know also Stacey has Faithpreneur Weekend, and she was inspired by her grandmother. Again, Black History Month, we have it all around us of what inspires us. But that kind of takes us to our next question, is that you said it, Stephanie. I'm going to start with you this time, of that, part of what inspires you is to see day in and day out what Black-owned businesses are going through. And so what do you find to be like some of the most common challenges for Black-owned businesses right now in the midst of COVID?
Yeah. That's such a big question, because I think when people sometimes ask that question, I think the response that people are wanting to hear is like sort of a one size fits all response. And, it's very hard to do that, because I think what people should sometimes consider when thinking about Black-owned businesses, you have to think about the business owner. You have to think about what their background is. You have to think about age. You have to think about gender. You have to think about, what type of business they have, whether it's a startup or a more mature business, because the needs are always different. I find, I'll do broad and then I'll narrow it in. Broadly speaking, there is access to capital. That's a huge thing. Businesses sometimes need that mentorship to help them scale, because they have a great business. Sometimes they also need a mentor to help them realize, okay, you're really good at doing this thing, but does it need to become a business, and could instead you partner with someone else? So helping them kind of get through that assessment of whether I should break out into business or whether I should partner. Another thing I think about is peer-to-peer networking. We talked a lot about that on this call. Again, I think our people are strong people, but we do need our support. We do need that upliftment. In addition to resources, like I had mentioned earlier, it can really be the difference between I'm not going to do this or I'm going to do this. Having that support network to support you and bring you up, and indeed share resources, is extremely helpful. So those are some of the things broadly that I can see in my work that Black-owned businesses have expressed a need for. But then when we get down to it, if you're a startup, you might need more support with creating your business structure, knowing what type of entity is most important for you. You have your LLCs, you have your S Corps. So just really having access to mentorship to also support you in making sure you make the right decision there. Helping you develop your business plan, very important. If you have a strong foundation, you know where you're going, and you can, again, scale up from there. More mid-level businesses, you want to make sure that you have access to, even as you transition from startup to mid-level, you want to make sure that you have, access to a website, that you have a social media presence. I think one thing that COVID has shown us more than anything is that if you don't have an online presence, it can be very challenging for you to exist amidst a natural disaster or a pandemic. And so making sure you have some kind of online presence, making sure that you have really good search engine optimization and people can find you and find you fast and you're sort of the first hits. Something that people are doing are adding cookies to their website. So it's enabling cookies on your device so that, do we like cookies? Maybe not. Maybe we don't like being tracked and monitored. But as a business owner, that's something that you may want to consider, because if you have cookies, then that person, let's say, will, drop something from your site into a shopping cart if they can make purchases through your website, and then it can send them reminders, and it could, hey, we saw that you were checking out this item, come back and check out this other item. And as a business, that's kind of what you want. You want to continue to kind of remind people that you exist and that your product exists and that they did touch base with you, and kind of keep that communication going. And then sometimes for some of our more seasoned and more mature businesses, this is something that they want to use for retirement. So then how do they take that and commodify their business and make the right deal so that they can retire? So, I just say all that to say that depending upon where you are in your business, you might have different needs. And so just, again, I think having access to information, having access to information in a language that is natural to you, very important. There are still a lot of people who are not connected to the internet. They don't have a social media presence. They don't have a website. Something that also became very important, I think just citywide during the pandemic, is infrastructure, just with regard to having high-speed internet. And the fact that there is not equity with regard to high-speed internet. So if I'm a virtual business owner, a home-based business, and I'm operating, in, let's say, Staten Island, you may not be able to access my website as quickly as you can someone who lives in Lower Manhattan. That's a problem. And it's a business problem and it's a financial problem. So making sure there's equity as well within our city's infrastructure so that people can access the information and the resources that, our businesses are putting out there and working to do every day. So that's a lot. But again, access to capital, peer-to-peer networks, mentorship, but then again, looking, really deeply into the businesses and find out specifically what their needs are, for more nascent businesses, just having that planning and structure, for more mid-level businesses, having the reach, and then scaling up. And then for more mature businesses, maybe sort of selling on.
Absolutely. I just want to jump in to shout out another one of my sources, Akila. She is a SEO expert. So she was like, yay for SEO, right? Understanding that that's her space of really helping get businesses become visible. So what you're doing with Together We Thrive, and of course we saw, just as you were speaking about the mentor in your life, and this is just a beautiful photo of him and just sharing that his spirit of the work and everything is alive in this whole concept of how we support one another. And you highlight different businesses so that we can follow. And that networking is so important. Diana Rose is on here as well, one of the businesses that we spotlighted. So I just wanted to insert a real-time situation where she had a small get-together for the Super Bowl. Now, can I be honest? My boys play football, so I was forced to try to learn what a touchdown was and how to get into the end zone. But, I was really there for the halftime show. Go, Mary. But while there were two young men who came from Philly, and they were meeting with another good friend of the show, Dawn Kelly, who started sharing information about Black and Mobile. That's their company. So I'm gonna flash them up on the screen soon. But two young 26-year-olds who found a challenge in the marketplace. So they're challenging Uber and DoorDash, all the rest. It's Black and Mobile. All they do is make sure that you're supporting local Black businesses. That's how the Nourish Spot and Dawn Kelly found out about them. And they're in different cities across the country, but Philly is their base. So once again, another example, when you were talking about scaling and looking at technology, they had to develop an app. They get the resources to develop the app. And guess what? Pepsi took notice and said, hey, here's one of these Black businesses we can give some money. So, when you show up and you do what you need to do, you never know what's coming. Go ahead, Stephanie. I see you bubbling with something else.
Well, wait, before you say that, Stephanie, I'm just going to jump in. That's a real-time solution for a real-time issue, right? So it's being in tune with the market. So Stephanie, by all means.
Sure. Real quick, I just want to say one of the other things that Together We Thrive does and is doing is promoting our businesses. You mentioned Dawn Kelly. I cannot stop talking about her. I cannot stop talking about Nourish Spot enough, to be honest with you. I really appreciate them. I appreciate their work. And, not to single anyone out, I appreciate all the work of all of our businesses. And we're going to work harder at making sure that all of you know and appreciate our businesses. But she was actually just profiled on QNS. And so her article came out, I believe it was yesterday. So we'll be sharing that on our social media and just making sure that she kind of gets that pull. But that's another thing Together We Thrive really is, we're pivoting to work toward is marketing and making sure that Black-owned businesses have, connections to media, can get the interviews, can kind of get out there, can take advantage of opportunities like this. So that's not me talking necessarily, but it is a business talking about what they're doing and putting themselves out there. And so that's really what we're working on next, developing those stories and putting them out there.
And Dawn attended the Black Business Owners Forum.
That's how I met her.
That's how you met her. And so I want to take it full circle because again, hence the work that's being done. And it comes full circle. So, when you plant seeds and you are doing the work, it has a domino effect. So,
absolutely.
There you go.
And I love it. And shout out to Dawn, who often also watches the show, even though she's been a frequent guest on the show. That's what makes us excited. You see everyone's face, all our face muscles immediately. We remove some wrinkles, right? Because when you think about people who are actively pursuing adding value in the marketplace, it makes your heart smile. And Dawn is definitely doing that. Black and Mobile. I mean, these young men, I go around collecting Black brilliance. Anyone that knows me does. So I was like, oh, I have some more sons. And my husband was quietly watching the game. And I was like, honey, we have 2 more children, because this is what we do. Find ways that we can highlight and shine and use technology and resources like this. So everyone that's tuning in, thank you, Akilah, for coming in. Share it out. Somebody needs to be reminded that you don't have to sit in a silo by yourself and figure this thing out. We have the Council for Black Business. We have Together We Thrive.
And I just want to say it's the Council for Black Business Enterprises. So,
Enterprises. Yeah. I can't forget the enterprises, because, you know, she's Inspired Enterprises.
Yes.
So the enterprise is important. And Diana,
very much so. But I also want to make sure that we have Tanya jump in, because we got to the second question and she got a wealth of information I'm sure she wants to share as well.
Yeah, that's fine, Danielle. You know, the thing I think about when I think about the challenges of Black business is the external environment, which Stephanie spoke on very clearly, the access to capital, insurance, bonding, brick and mortar space for people who want to set up, you know, all kinds of challenges that exist out there. But there's also that internal environment. And I have a program called See You Grow. It's cugrow.columbia.edu. And it's going into its 6th cohort, 6 years. By the way, I have to say this, Miss Danielle Douglas has been a coach in my program for all 6 years that it's run. And the first year we ran it, she got real ambitious and coached 2 firms, not one.
That's because you asked me, Tanya. And I do what you asked me to do.
But the important thing, and this is where we talk about excellence, is she won the recognition of one of the firms she coached being the one to win the most contracts when they were in the program. And the second firm she coached being the firm to win the largest contract. And I'm just like, she's just blowing us away, you know.
Wait, hold on. What's the website? We got to pull that up, Tanya.
It's cugrow.columbia.edu. And Stephanie, we also, for each of our cohorts, link to our firm's websites. Those who are alumni, we link to their websites to make sure that people know who they are, that they've been in our program. In the at the end of the 5th year, we had awarded $60 million in contracts to the firms that participate in the program. So it's substantial. But when I talk about that internal environment, I so want to have firms stop defining themselves as, I'm an MBE, I'm an MWBE. No, you're a fantastic firm. Tell people what your competitive advantage is. And oh, by the way, I am also a certified MBE and can help you reach your goals. I don't want people to define themselves as an MBE, because we're bigger than that. We're better than that. And you have to tell people what you're able to do. But my most recent work, and it's with the Ascend program that's being funded by JP Morgan Chase, is building an ecosystem of resources and supports that will help firms to grow. So not only do we provide them procurement assistance, marketing assistance, tell them how to present. We have a group of 10 committed partners that are providing them with contracts, but we also have an ecosystem around them of lenders and insurers and bonders. And I've even dragged my Columbia Print into the role, because, you know, they do all the printing for Columbia University, but we've now launched a program where they will do free design and graphics work for the firm, and then only charge them 50% of the printed or digital asset, because we want our Black firms out there looking superior. You know, they have to shine and be presented in their most professional manner, and we want to make sure we make that happen for them. So there are just so many supports. And Diana, if you go to cugrow.columbia.edu, it is not for a Columbia alumni. We take in 20 new firms each year from the built environment. So whether you're selling commodities, you're a security company that does construction security, anything within that realm, and we take them through an 11-month program. I don't have any children, and that's a problem because these folks become my babies. These firms are like, I'm invested in every one of them. And so the firms that we get, and Danielle, you can attest to this, at the beginning of that program are not the firms that walk out that door. And seeing that transformation is so powerful. And I'm so glad I have the large access to all of Columbia's procurement and real estate and opportunities to present to these firms for them to grow up with us. We take all the risk, make sure they know exactly how they want to do things, and then they get moved out. If you click on alumni, you can see the various different lists of folks who've been in the program. And so it's a labor of love, I have to say. When you click each cohort, it shows you all the businesses that are in that cohort, and it links to their individual websites. And lastly, I'll say, I tell people that CU Grow, we don't have an alumni program because CU Grow is like the mafia. You can get in, but you can't get out. We invite our graduates every year to come back for opportunities. We invite them to come back for our webinars, our seminars. We want them to continue to be engaged with us, and it's a long-term relationship that we're looking to create. And it's really been a wonderful program for us.
Can I just jump in and say real quick that I think it was through this wonderful woman. Her name is Miss Benjamin from New Genesis Pathfinders. I think
Diana
Benjamin, yes.
Exactly. She told me about CU Grow, and I was like, who is that? I need to know about this program. Who do I connect to? Okay, can you put me in touch? Great. Okay. And we actually like uplifted CU Grow and shared it out in our newsletters. So before I even knew you.
Thank you so much.
Put it out there because I just thought it was a great opportunity. So happy to meet you.
Yes, here we go. Another full circle moment.
Another full circle
that we're having. Which is
I love it.
And I just want to say one more thing about the Ascend program. Again, being intentional. The overarching, or the BHAG, the big hairy goal of Ascend is to help 500 businesses of color achieve $1 billion in contracting. And so that's what our Ascending to 1 billion is all about. And JP Morgan has been so steadfast in this effort, supplying everything that's needed in order to reach this goal to providers in 12 cities across the country.
That's amazing. And Diana, I don't know if you saw her information that her organization just signed an agreement with the Columbia's Legal Clinic. So yes,
that's exciting. That's another element we're bringing to CU Grow this year. Our Columbia Law School is now going to be doing contract review webinars with our firms to make sure that they understand, that they can perform to the terms of these agreements. And they'll also do pop-up clinics where our firms can bring in a specific contract that they're either getting ready to sign or, God forbid, have signed, and get an evaluation of that from the lawyers in the clinic. So we're so excited to have the Columbia Law School as part of the program this year.
Awesome.
Tanya has been so steadfast in all these different programs that is having major impact on NWBEs as well as MBEs, and the work she's doing with me for more specifically BBEs. And we're excited that we're disappointed that we could not do something for Black History Month. That was not for lack of trying. Please know that. But we are really excited about the fact that we're putting it out there in the universe. We talked about it just yesterday to be able to do something for Women's Business Month. So I'm just throwing it out there now. You guys stay tuned. to hear more about it. But again, work is being done on so many different fronts.
Danielle, if I could just say something about the CBA that Columbia has, because many people don't know what a CBA is, a community benefits agreement.
Mhm.
And it's you talk about your love letter, Dr. Grant. It's our love letter to the community of West Harlem that over the 30 years that we build this new campus, we're not going to leave them behind. They are involved in every level of our growth because we want them to grow together with us. And the commitment, the agreements have over 350 commitments. I just want to have you listen to that number. My department is responsible for making sure that each of the departments in Columbia that are committed to deliver these commitments do it. And we write a report to ESD on the 15th of October every year, outlining every commitment and how it's delivered. But more importantly, we put all of that information up on our website because we want it to be completely transparent that we are complying with what we agreed to and that the work is being done and we are, delivering on what we said we would do. And that public facing part of it is so important to me. Every quarter, we put up the results on our construction and who we've hired. You see the name of the firm and what their contract was worth. I mean, it's very transparent. We want people to know we're serious about this. And I'm pretty proud to say in 15 reporting periods, we have never, ever been late posting our reporting.
And Tanya, the beautiful thing about the way that the community benefits agreement has been structured with Columbia and the community is that you empower the community to decide through a significant fund how they want to use the money to impact their community.
That's right. We took $76 million and we said,
can you say that again?
We took $76 million.
$76 million, right.
Here's the money. You guys decide who gets the grants, how you use it, what it's being used for. We don't want to have any hand in that. You all do in the community what you believe is best for the community.
Can we hold on a second? One second. Can I drop?
I think that's extremely important because you do have folks like me, who is really looking to impact the community. You have folks like Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant. You have folks like Diana Rose, and the list goes on. But I'm just noting because I know Diana's on and Stacey is here, and we are like grassroots, really looking to make a difference in our own way. And it's like, empower the people. Right. Empower the people.
Exactly. And I'm glad that you highlighted that, Danielle. The fact that you were able to create a model of distributing a significant amount of resources. I mean, 76 million. Can I drop some more horns again? I mean,
and Tanya, that's just a piece of it. That's not
right. That's just the cash portion.
That's the cash part of it.
There's another 20 million that was set aside for affordable housing. We send the kids in Harlem to the Columbia coached camps at our athletic center every year. We have a new almost $1 million dental van that goes out to all of the daycare centers and NYCHA community centers to check on kids and seniors' dental conditions. It's just so many things in that list of 350. Anybody in our 17 zip code, and a lot of people don't know this. Let me tell you this. Anybody in the 17 zip code catchment area around Columbia, if you are accepted into Columbia College or our School of Engineering, you get full ride scholarship.
Oh, wow.
Full ride
It just keeps getting gooder and gooder.
Look, Diana, wouldn't you want to be able to, have some funds and be like, go to our Southeast Queens Community Benefit Fund for your kitchen? Come on now.
Okay.
Come on.
I don't know. We
Exactly.
Do you
definitely
think I
felt
had
that
to
we have
beg to
10
have a
catching
capacity
areas.
building
So.
program for the community and had to beg for years? Thank God I got it, but it wasn't from.
And
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, this was not easy negotiating. And 13
Of
years
course.
later, we're still interpreting elements of it as the different commitments trigger. And it's a constant, but it's a 30-year project. We're 13 years into active construction. I will not be here at the end. Let me just be clear on that. But I feel like we've set up a really wonderful precedent, and hopefully when I decide to leave, there will be somebody else I can hand the baton to shepherd it as closely and dearly as I feel like we have. I did put a email in the chat, mwlbesupport@columbia.edu. If anyone wants to get in touch with us, reach out to us. That email goes to my whole team, and we get back to people like very quickly the same day. And so we just want to engage and make sure everybody knows what we're doing and can participate to the extent that they're able.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that. I was just about to ask, how can people contact you? Because I know Diana's wheels are spinning. Hi, Nikisha. Stop laughing at my sound effects in the studio, girl. I'm a producer, honey. That's what I do. And I appreciate you, Sonia, Akila, who else is here? Myron. So many people who have been tuning in and sharing this out. The email is in the chat so that you can contact Tanya and Stephanie. We will share again together. WeThrive.org, so you can get in contact with her team. But Stephanie, any contact information, and then we'll let both of you share your final words, and Danielle Douglas will close us out. Because can you believe we're at the top of the hour having way too much fun together? I mean, it's the best show ever. Hello, Byron Allen. Can somebody pick up my network? Okay. All right. I digress.
And look, when your network is getting picked up, you better not forget about me.
Oh, you are guaranteed right by my side the whole way. I mean, I rocks with my people. That's how we do this. And we speak it into existence. I'm laughing, but not joking. JK, but not JK. Byron Allen, holla at your girl. We have work to do. And this is what I do. Stephanie, pray for me. That's all I can say. Asanya appreciates the conversation and the insight. But Stephanie, how can they connect outside of going to the website? Anything that you want to share?
Absolutely, sure. So I did put the website into the chat, www.togetherwethrivenyc.org. But then I also put our email address, which is twtinfo@uwnyc.org. And so that goes directly to me, goes directly to our team. We definitely get back to you. So definitely reach out to us. You can also find us on social media. So we're on Instagram, we are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we are on LinkedIn. So definitely Together We Thrive. All the platforms, all the things.
Awesome. So both emails are in the chat, so you can go and find out more about CU and also Together We Thrive. This has been great. Danielle and I could stay on here literally all day because this is what makes us so happy. And I my heart is full. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Stephanie. Danielle's going to thank you as well and close us out. But just know, once you're on the show, you come back frequently when there's more information to share. So stand by that you are no stranger to From the Ground Up, and we look forward to having you back again. Over to my beautiful, dynamic, and talented co-host, Danielle Douglas.
So I always say this because by the end of the show, I am always so full and feel so excited because we just continue. Yep, I'm patting us on the back. Right? I did two, one for me and one for Stacey. Because we continue to give you guys phenomenal guests who provides phenomenal information. What do I always say? I know you're tired of me saying it. Wisdom is when you use information, when you apply it. And so we hope that you take this information and you apply it. Please show up. We're going to continue to be here every 2 weeks. We're going to be here. We are your partners. Okay. And I do believe something that came through my little brain just 2 minutes ago was like, we are the best kept secret.
Yes,
you got to tell other folks about the information that we're giving to you because we do believe in our heart of hearts. We are transforming business owners, and we are transforming businesses. And that is my mission, not only here in the work that I do with Miss Dr. Stacey C. Grant, but the work with the Black Business Owners Forum. So it warms my heart that, you know, Dawn was able to connect with Stephanie and she's being highlighted. The work that I do through the Council for Black Business Enterprises, the work that Miss Dr. Stacey C. Grant doing with the Night of Healing, it's the work that we do. So continue on, have a productive 2 weeks, and please show up and tell others. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye for now.
Bye-bye, everyone. Stay
Bye-bye.
safe, be blessed, and wear your mask. I don't care what they say. Bye, y'all.